So this is just going to be for an inset eye. Now, human eyes are definitely different than a variety of animal eyes. These are, bulging a little bit more rather than being so sunken in. But I want to kind of go over the basics of like creating an eye socket, adding in the eye, and then building up around it. I can also do a human eye as well. We'll see how much time we have. But I'll just do it on like a flat piece of clay. So did I get much chance to work on this yesterday? I didn't, but that's okay. Let's smooth that in a little bit. I built it up a little bit during fourth block. It looks pretty creepy right now because there's no eyes and it's not quite a fish yet. But you can see we're going places. We're going places. I got, some lips starting on there. But what I want to do is I want to go in and I want to start to close up the eyes. I already started on this side. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to start to close it up. I always like to make just like a generic hollowed out part for where I want to put the eye, because I could always then go in and enclose it. So we kind of talked about just adding coiling on as we go. And I'm going to go over tomorrow how I'm going to go in and attach the fin, and then we'll go over some sculptural things on Friday, like more detailed work. But I'm gonna make a time lapse of this today. I had a little bit of migraine yesterday, so I was feeling cranky. There's my life story. All right, so I'm gonna just go in and I'm going to take in a little bit here because the eyes are this one kind of on the front, this one kind of on the side. Definitely like different variations of pufferfish and blowfish. So I'm going to kind of make my own, but going off of those pictures. And whenever you're attaching clay, like I said, make sure that it is really being compressed on, being smoothed in. So right now I have like an overall area to put an eye. All right, you could see it is kind of large, however they do have larger eyes, and I am going to build out over it. Depending on what you're doing, you could start with an overall just regular like eyeball shape, like circular. You can also go ahead and cut it in half if you have like really large eyes. But I think that this will be fine. Let me see. I'm going to take a little off. And play around, with the sizing of everything. We could go in with the glazes and do details. We could go in with the textures for like the actual chia seeds and do our details with those. So almost if you don't have the chia growing on it, it could just look like a little sculpture. All right, so I'm gonna put this about yay. But I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna take a little bit off of the back of it so that it's not sticking out so much. So that'll be a little bit flatter. It'll also give me a better angle to then go ahead and slip and score that on. Slip. And I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna rest this in here. So now I just have this eye stuck on, but I want to build up a little bit of a shape. Yes, this is very rounded, but I want to build this eyelid going around it. Same thing, I'm going to go in and I'm going to either work with coils. So I'll show you, Sorry. I'm just gonna do this. All right, so you could go in with like a flattened piece of clay, or you could go in with a coil, and you want to really like assess the shape that you have. I want to build up around this eye. And connect it there. Now, because the eye is pretty, you know, buggy, kind of sticks out a lot, I do want to make sure that I keep that, but I'm going to use all this extra clay to smooth back into here. And I'll show you guys a human eye after this, just because this is a very odd animal that I chose. So that's attached on there, and I'm going to kind of push it in a little bit towards the eye. And I'm going to start smoothing this in and kind of like pushing it towards. The whole idea is to really form like an eyelid and a bond to it after having an eye set in. And yes, I'm going to do a human example. Or you know, I'm just going to do it on a piece of clay. I started doing a bust the other day, and I was using the chocolate colored clay, and it was just so fresh that I was like, nope, not working for me. So, but I love that clay. I really hope that it firms up soon. Sometimes I get like a really fresh batch from the company. And then I'm going to just kind of really start to work this in. And so here's when tools start to come into place, because I can't reach all the way in here, but I do want to start attaching some of this onto the eye. So I'm going to kind of feather that in a little bit. And yes, this guy is very non-traditional. And then I'm going to start kind of going in and scooping out. And really pay attention to the pictures that you have. Yesterday, tomorrow when I do my demo, I might like really kind of focus on really like sculpting. Because it takes a while. So to just kind of throw something together real quick is a little challenging. So maybe that's why time lapse will be good. But you could see already like how this is building up the side so much. And you can always go in and then you could take some of the clay away. So I had quite a big piece that I used there because I wanted to really begin to shape that eye socket there. And yes, utilize your tools. And anything could be a ceramic tool. Oh, now he looks real funny. Oh, man. Anything could be a ceramic tool. I did make a tool video that was like ceramic tools during the pandemic. And I added like a bunch of things. So if you guys want to look into that, you can too. But I always use things that aren't maybe necessarily meant to be used for ceramics. I like to use like little, you know, regular like tools, like little screwdrivers and stuff, or sometimes I'll use like clean toothbrushes to go ahead in and smooth some things up as they dry out. And now that I have this overall inset part, I'm going to really go in and I'm going to continue to shape this. And maybe even pull a little bit away from the side here. So additive and subtractive. Add some on, carve some away. And I'm going to continue this up tomorrow. But kind of like step one, this nose needs to come out a lot. I am very excited for this little puffer fish. Oh my goodness, I can't wait. So, basic like human, animal, any type of eye. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to create one on a flat surface. We'll just pretend that this is exactly where the eye would be. So when you think of any type of animal or person, you're going to start with going in and creating an eye socket. Now pay attention to, the picture that you have. And it's definitely going to be larger than what you're going to need. Because you'll even notice, with skulls, it has like a really deep sunken in eye area. Especially, oh my goodness, Mr. Daniels has like a deer skull in his room. Not a deer skull, I'm sorry, a horse skull. That's so weird. We got it from the science department. They're gonna throw it away. All right. So I got my overall basic eye shape. I'm going to go in and I want to do the very same thing. Let me see if I could prop this a little bit better. That's not good either. Oh my goodness, guys, I'm sorry. All right, maybe... All right, I think that's better. So I have this eye socket here, same exact thing. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to create an eye in there. This one, however, I'm gonna create an eyelid rather than like a rounded surface like that. And usually they start out the same, and then depending on what you're doing, you'll go ahead in and adjust that. And everyone kind of starts out with this as the basic technique for any type of eye, especially focusing on realism. And then, you go in and you really sculpt it up and make it your own. So I have my eye socket here. I'm gonna attach my eye in. Really rest it in. And you could slip and score it as well. Next I'm going to do 2 coils. And for these, I want them to kind of match up going around the eye first. This is just going to help build up a structure, and then I'll show you how to go in and start to build an eyelid. Now we would imagine, a nose starting to come through here, and then sculpting, whether you want to sculpt the eyes to look realistic or glaze them later on. So we start to develop this overall outline. And for the first one, I just like to smooth it into the external area. And of course, you know, eyes have so many different shapes. But this is going to be kind of like the overall. I'm just going to add a little clay here because this would be like a brow bone, so this is going to be kind of important in shaping up the eye. And I hope that makes full sense. You know, you have like the eyebrow starting to come in over here. When going in and actually sculpting up an eyelid, you want to think about like how the human eye closes. So it's up right now, but it has a little piece through here when it closes down. So first I'm going to go in with a little coil, and I'm going to start to implement that right through here. And start blending that together. And I'm going to start to really apply more pressure over this area. And, you know, start to sculpt into here a little bit. So for the eyelid, I'm just going to smooth that in. And you can continue to, you know, really adjust this for the eye shape that you're working with. I like to then go in and start to build up into the brow bone so that this eyelid starts to make a little bit more sense. And then I'll add like creases and things like that in. But once again, you know, it's a process. It takes time, it takes observation. This is like the general gist of getting an eye started. And let me face it towards me so I could see a little bit better, because this would all be built up. So the eye wouldn't be sticking out, you know, as far, because we would have like the forehead and everything like that coming in. So I'm just going to add this little extra piece on. I will help you guys all individually, but this is the overall, you know, starting spot for creating an eye. And I'm going to add a little bit under there too to start to separate like the waterline. All right, so this is kind of overall a generic eye, very generic. Oh, I can't pick it up really on there. But imagine this would be like the brow bone really coming up through here. This starting to become the nose through here. So basically having like an inset, and then we'll be coiling around it and then going back in and sculpting away. So I hope, you know, that gets you guys started on something if you're doing a human form, or any type of animal form as well. But make sure that you're paying attention to the shape. I was just kind of doing a general right here, but a cow is definitely going to have a different shaped eye than a human. So we will go from there.